Hi, this is Scott Garibay. Today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons and Kobold Press's Project Black Flag. Project Black Flag has been a horrible mess from the start. And basically, it's a hate project that, in my humble opinion, it's a hate project. It's one of a conga line of hate projects, right? So Project Black Flag wasn't like, oh, Kobold Press was like, oh, we have this great idea for a new game. It's like, oh, the 2023 OGL crisis blew up, and the streets are on flame with D&D hatred right now. Why don't we get in on that and try to turn it into money, right? Like, and why don't we? Why doesn't the OSR actually deliver something? For 20 years, the OSR has pointed and castigated D&D and said we can do better. And now we've been shouting in the street for a month straight, and we're lined up with D&D Be Gone allies. But the revolution was over at the end of January because Hasbro popped that balloon like a bubble by sending out Kyle Brink, who championed for Hasbro and for Dungeons & Dragons, and sent every OSR complainer packing, right? But the OSR had made a lot of promises. The OSR had assured everyone that they could do better than Dungeons & Dragons. And everything D&D did was wrong, right? And there was just a whole month of castigation, and so so then Kobold Press was like, we'll do it. We'll take the front, right? And so they spun up the project that is designed from like front to center to replace Dungeons & Dragons, right? And they're saying essentially, we know you want to play Dungeons & Dragons, but you hate. So this was a project for like, you want to play Dungeons & Dragons, but you hate Hasbro. We got you covered. It's called Project Black Flag, right? And so then, we're in the shut up, put up era, right? Like, you got to shut your mouth and you have to actually deliver something. And that's what Project Black Flag is trying to do, right? So Project Black Flag is going into its second playtest packet, right? First one was absolutely laughable. There was the species were virtually identical. The combat was virtually identical. The, every aspect, Kobold Press had strained to say, we're just going to take D&D, pour it in a new cup, and the new cup is going to have Hasbro scrubbed off the outside, and it's going to say Kobold Press. Nothing different, right? And everybody's like, nothing different? Really? Like, isn't there something to wow us? And they're like, no, there's nothing to wow anybody here. We're just going to, we're going to copy D&D. Well, the second packet broke that, right? And it broke that pattern, right? And it was like, oh, there is one change. There's one thing about Project Black Flag doesn't have that D&D does have. And I was like, okay, what is it, right? And the character sheet on comicbook.com, the most outrageously prejudiced, slanted, stilted, anti-D&D coverage on YouTube, in my humble opinion, right? Absolutely bog awful coverage. So unfair, right? But they're high frequency, and they do report news at a high frequency. That always makes me interested. So they reported. They said Project Black Flag says Project Black Flag kills inspiration in D&D 5e? ? And I was like, they couldn't have removed inspiration, right? But they did. That's what they did. That's their change. That's the big change in Packet 2, is they've removed inspiration. And I'm like, wait, you got to be joking, right? Like, this can't be real. And so Kobold Press is literally saying, well, Project Black Flag is D&D, but uninspired. There's no inspiration. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, I was saying that from day one, that this is an uninspired copy of D&D, and the problem is it lacks any passion, it lacks any inspiration, it lacks any innovation, it lacks any heart, it lacks anything real, and all that's there is copy energy. You're literally saying they took inspiration out of the game to show that Project Black Flag is an uninspired copy of Dungeons & Dragons. They're literally making it uninspired. And I'm like, are you kidding? And so what astounds me is, like, I knew this would be an uninspired copy of Dungeons & Dragons. The fact that they're saying it makes me like, is Kobold Press trolling their own people? Right? Like, their own fan. Is Kobold Press trolling the OSR? Right? And being like, you knew this was going to be an uninspired copy of D&D, but just to be clear, we're going to cut out inspiration from D&D. It's the only thing we're going to take the time to really change and make sure that everybody knows this is different. It's uninspired. There's no inspiration in it. And I'm like, are you joking? Like this has got to be a troll. It's not a troll. They are literally removing inspiration, right? And I was like, this is astounding, right? So why would Kobold Press do this, right? Why would they literally troll the OSR, right? And it's a good question, and you know Scott Garibay, he will tell you when he's right? I am a little flabbergasted. I have no idea why they. I'm not positive why they're doing this, but I'm going to share my opinion with you. I think the reason they're doing this is that I think the people at Kobold Press are not necessarily evil. I think they're just opportunists, right? So basically, I do think a lot of the OSR who are shouting D&D be gone, the OSR allies who are shouting D&D be gone in 2023 OGL Crisis are flat out evil. They're just the most horrible, prejudiced, right-wing monster humans that are out there. I think there's a lot of them. And this is my issue. This is why I roll so hard on the OSR. Is I really feel it has made a harbor for prejudice, right? And much like Trump did, right? Like Trump was like, hey, if you're super prejudiced, I'm going to build a space for you to live in, and that's what he did, right? And I think the OSR really has built this, special protection space for prejudiced people, and I do not want people to forget what they did in 2023 OGL Crisis. Thousands of OSR allies used the same terror words that that American zealots used during the Satanic Panic. They were like, D&D be gone. You are not allowed to buy, own, read, run, watch Dungeons and Dragons. American zealots said it in 1983. OSR allies by the thousands cried it in 2023. In the 1983 Satanic Panic, 2023 Manic Panic. It's the same, right? Like, it's the same people, right? The only thing that changed was the date, right? The people were literally different, but the same type of person, just cruel, prejudiced people, right? And but I don't think the leaders of Kobold Press are like that. I think they are opportunists who saw a moment in time and said, we finally have the moment where we can surpass Dungeons and Dragons. And they thought that that the 2023 OGL Crisis would be a virtual roundhouse and that Hasbro would stay down. And that was not the case. Hasbro, got up from its prone position and was ready to double, to do a virtual double attack. And that's exactly what they did, right? They released the SRD on Creative Commons, and huge, just like completely popped the balloon of momentum for everything the OSR had accomplished in the 2023 OGL Crisis, 2023 Manic Panic, and then the movie. Like, the movie is the haymaker. It is the virtual haymaker, and it's really going to send the OSR reeling. And so I think the reason that that Kobold Press literally put in here and ensured everybody, we assure you, this is a low effort, just full copy energy copy of D&D, but we are going to make sure it's uninspired by removing inspiration from it, literally, right? I think the reason they did this is, I think this is a guide leading people into the forest, right? And realizing just a few hundred yards into the forest that they forgot to pack provisions. They have no idea where they're going, and there's 20 people behind them, and they're like, you guys should go back to the, you guys should go back to the city, right? I know we said we were going to build a utopia in the woods, but the reality is, I'm worried that you people are going to starve following me. And I think Project Black Flag is being built, and like Ted from Nerd Immersion, day one when he did, he's like, hey everybody, I know everybody's like, why do we need this now? But we do still need this. And now I think, Kobold Press is realizing there are real people who are still really putting their hopes on this, and they're like, we know we ain't going to deliver anything, right? And so they're removing inspiration from Project Black Flag to ensure everyone that this is a completely uninspired project and that there's no there, right? And giving people a chance to head back to the city where there will be food and shelter, right? Like, which is D&D, and especially, and they're like, do we really want to be encouraging people to to be spending time celebrating this empty vessel when D&D Honor Among Thieves is pointing people to Dungeons and Dragons, which has been delivering awesome for 50 years? This would be a cruelty to follow through with this at this point, and it would absolutely be one of the cruelest measures of it would just be incredibly cruel. And I think that Kobold Press is like, we can't do this to people. We got to warn them. And that's what this truly is. Removing inspiration from Project Black Flag is huge, right? It's literally saying, yeah, this is a low effort, like, copy energy dump of D&D into a new cup, right? And they're like, there's literally no inspiration here. Like, truly incredible. That's why every single word of that is my humble opinion. That's why I think Project Black Flag is doing this. Why do you think Project Black Flag is informing everyone that Project Black Flag is quite literally uninspired and has no inspiration in it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.